Welcome to my quarter one book audit slash wrap up. So these are all of my favorite books and my least favorite books from January to April that I've read. I'm starting with my top 5 best so far. So starting with number 5 from the bottom is The X-Files, and this is a second chance romance where two exes, like in the title, have to work together to plan their best friend's wedding. This was a fun and surprisingly deeper read. I felt like Georgia's fear of like feeling behind or just like feeling left behind was definitely relatable, but I did find that her inner monologue just got me feeling a little bit annoyed. I don't know if it was like when she was like at the wedding, like her closest like friends around her had to reassure her that she was doing everything okay when it was like their wedding, and I felt like they didn't need to like have the extra stress because the whole wedding was already going wrong, and they didn't need like the extra stress of like worrying about her. But anyway, I enjoyed it, and I thought Eli was a softer MMC than I've read about before, but I liked the paper rings he made, and like it was a bonus for the gold chain, so I would recommend this one. That's why it's at 5. So I have also been really wanting to read Just Last Night by Mari McFarlane, and when I went to look it up, I think in my Libby app, like it was not available, and so I saw that she had another book called You Had Me at Hello, which is the one that I am putting at number 4. And this was like just a funny accident, but I read the premise and I was like, this sounds really interesting and like something that I would like. I realized that this was like her debut, but it was really good. It was like a funny and poignant story still. Like I said, I felt like it was like right up my alley. I think the trope is like best friends to strangers to lovers. So like there's Ben, who's the MMC, and I felt like he was just like a golden retriever, like classic MMC. Rachel, I also liked, who was the FMC. I liked their like past chapters where they like talked about their college life and like how they met and how they became like really close friends, but then once they got older, like Ben ended up marrying like somebody else, and then they get back in contact, I think, when they're like in their 30s or like late 20s. And yeah, I really like that aspect. And there's a AGA. So I feel like everybody's read this next book, but the next book is The Correspondent for obvious reasons. I like that this was through an older woman's point of view, but I did get a bit confused and like I wasn't really invested in the beginning because I was just wondering like where this was going to go, because it is told through like all letters, but then the last 25% you kind of understand why, and it's like a real tearjerker. It's very sad. At number 2, I have Ready or Not, and this book I really loved. It is about Eve, who accidentally falls pregnant, and she has to now kind of figure out how to prepare and like deal with this whole new situation, but also while figuring out how to like maintain her friendship with Willa, who has been her like childhood best friend, but Willa has had struggles trying to have a baby, which kind of puts a strain on their relationship now that Eve is like already pregnant, when Willa has wanted a child for so long. Willa's brother Shep ends up being there for Eve, ends up like showing up for Eve instead, and I felt like he was like the definition of like the best boyfriend. And he is not just because like he's a golden retriever, but because he like never like got mad at her circumstances, especially with Ethan, who is the baby's dad. But the only reason this is not a 5-star was because of Ethan. I was just like, I don't know, got a bit like icked out by him, but it makes sense that he's now like a part of their life forever. So, and at number 1 so far is Conform, and this one really surprised me because I had seen this book everywhere last year, and I finally picked it up because there was like no hold on Libby. I really wanted to see like what the hype was about, and it did not disappoint. This is my only and first 5-star of the year. Like, I really miss the era of dystopian books when like Hunger Games, Red Queen, Divergent, all of those books were coming out, and those books got me into reading, so it was like really reminiscent of that era. But even so, this book was just like very addictive. I found Emmeline to be like a very relatable character. So this book follows Emmeline, who is part of the defect population, which is like if they're born, like her defect is that she has like different colored eyes. So it's like silly stuff like that makes them like below the elite, which are I think the highest, but not really, because there's the Elam, so they're like the highest, but they like rule over everybody and like make all the rules. And I'm Team Colin, and I really cannot wait for the sequel, and I hope that they're endgame. Now for my 5 flops, coming at number 5 is The Lover. This one, like, really wasn't anything special. I had no expectations going into this, but I saw it was free on Prime as a novella, so I just like picked it up. It like wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything like memorable. And then number 4 is 3 Days in June. I had seen this circulating a few times, but again, I had like no expectations for it. This was also like a short book, not a novella, but I didn't really like the FMC's personality. I thought she was just like a bit too grumpy. For number 3, I had Eleanor Oliphant. Now this one, I did have high expectations going into it. I saw that like everybody loves it, but for me it was just like, it was like okay, like I gave it 3 stars, so it wasn't bad, but I was like expecting like at least like a 4-star. For me, I was just like getting sort of bored of the mundaneness, but Raymond, I found to be like the shining star of the book. He was like, my opinion, like one of the sweetest and most caring characters I've read about, and added real depth to the story and to bettering Eleanor. Table for One I put at number 2, and again, I had high expectations for this, but it did fall short. It wasn't bad necessarily, like I did give it 3 stars too, but it just wasn't what I was looking for like going into it. So I really love the premise of this book and what it means to be happily alone, not lonely, but the FMC, in my opinion, had just like no personality. Overall, I just think the plot could have been so much more interesting because the premise was so compelling. And for number 1, I have No Matter What by Cara Bastone. This one was like so disappointing. I had just gotten to Cara Bastone's writing this year, and as you guys saw, Ready or Not was in my number 2 of like my top favorite reads of the year, so that was my first one that I started out with her. Then I read Promise Me Sunshine, which I gave like 3 stars. Like, it was all right. And then I saw that she was coming out with No Matter What, which is a second chance marriage in crisis new book this year, and it quickly became one of my highly anticipated new releases for 2026. But this was like not it at all. I found both of the main characters to be they were not enjoyable to read about, in my opinion. I disliked being in Roz's the FMC's inner monologue. I just found her like very annoying. And Vin, the MMC, I thought had some redeemable qualities, but the miscommunication from his side was like just so unnecessary. Like, it could have been resolved. It's like I was just like bro, like, you need to speak, because there was like ellipses after every single word he would say, like just ... like not even a full sentence. Unless we start out with them like trying to heal from this very scary accident that happened to them, which caused them to like, I guess, be in strife with each other, or like it put them at strife with each other, and so quickly like they are together again. I felt like it was just so rushed and definitely not what I was looking for.